He's just looking for excuses. He's been beat off a guy that's 9.5, 10 stone, and he's looking for excuses. He's a bitter man. There's not going to be a rematch.
Welcome to the show. How are you getting on, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Listen, the pleasure's absolutely all mine. Absolutely all mine. I don't really know what you call it. What kind of fighting is it? Is it unlicensed? Is it underground kind of stuff? What you call
yeah,
it?
maybe he's underground street fighting. Maybe he's. I
It's
mean,
mad. It's just mad. It's mad.
that's kind of what it is. I don't think it really has a name.
Yeah. Right. Let's start from the nitty gritty then. So, Decca Heggie, obviously, people love him, people hate him. No disrespect to Decca, but I'm hearing a lot of hate for him. And I don't get involved in that. I'm not interested in anything like that. Can't stand politics. But how did this fight come up? How did this even happen between a guy who's basically twice your size, well known of fighting in the underworld, and a tough guy? So, how did this fight ever even manifest?
It was kind of my fault because so I was fighting on his show in the Haybills. We became like, I wouldn't say really good friends, but we spoke a lot, and I was going to fight regular on his show, and he was going to start paying me more money. And then when I fought Bash, because he doesn't get on with Dougie Joyce, and Dougie Joyce made some money from the pay-per-view instead of Decca making the money, so he gave me a load of line, if you like. Mm-hmm. So I messaged him and was just like, well, what's this about, mate? And a little bit of arguing. And in the end, I just turned around and said, I'm going to punch you in. Kind of like, that's kind of how it went down.
Decent way to start a fight and punch your head in. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. So I'd normally ask you how you got into certain things, but I've just got so many questions as to this particular fight for you. So first of all, congratulations. And if you haven't seen this fight, guys, it's very, very well spread. It pretty much end up with you half the size of Decca, pretty much on top of him, elbowing him in the head. He looked in a bad way. There's been a couple of things, what people have said. So talk us a little bit through the fight from your end.
So we had a game plan to obviously stay away from his power, move away from his right hand, kick his front leg, because as a boxer, well, nobody likes getting kicked, but as a boxer, you definitely don't like getting kicked. Mm-hmm. So that was a plan: kick his leg, move away, stay away from his right hand, get him frustrated, and then when he comes in with his looping shots, which he will, which he did, and then go for the takedown and try and finish him on the ground. So that was kind of the plan. So you've seen about all the stuff that's being posted online, or the fight was a fix. I tapped. That's a big one, which is crazy.
Robbie, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because from some of the clips that I did see, I've seen taps from both of you. So, and physical taps, whether they mean different things or not.
Yeah,
I get that. But what did they mean? Because it did happen. I've seen it. So what did they mean?
So we were in a neutral position. It was like a front headlock. I had my arm in, and he had his arms around me, and he wasn't trying to squeeze. He didn't even, without even looking at the video, he wouldn't have even known, his arms around my neck. I think to him, he was just laid on top of me, holding me. Okay. We got like a stalemate position, like a neutral position that wasn't going anywhere. It lasted a couple of seconds. And he said something, and I was like, you want to get up? He said, yeah. So then I tapped on his leg as an acknowledgement, right, let's get up. You do it in jiu-jitsu all the time, if you're in position. I don't know if you train jiu-jitsu yourself, but you'll tap on the side, you'll tap on the back, or just say, right, when we leave go this position, you're not going to try and jump on me.
Yeah.
That's kind of that was. And he knew that, because once he got up, he didn't celebrate. Now he's coming around and saying, oh, he's tapped, I should have won. But on his videos, he's like, oh, well, I didn't feel a tap. So if you didn't feel a tap, why did you get up and leave go?
Yeah, I see. It was pretty much a gentleman's agreement then, to get up and then stand up. Yeah.
And cool. The same when he tapped on my back. Like, I'll admit that wasn't a tap. We were talking. I can't remember what was said on that point, but he said something like, "Oh, you're a fucking animal, you," or something, and then tapped on me. Okay. But I'll admit that wasn't a tap. It wasn't a tap. He's just looking for excuses. He's been beat off a guy that's 9.5, 10 stone, and he's looking for excuses. He's a bitter man.
Okay, so what I have heard over the last couple of days are fight fixing and you potentially drugging him or something of that nature. So what's going on here is, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't know the context of this, but they do sound like excuses. And I think whoever'd say that from it does sound like, what's the context to it?
So when the fight got announced, my friends didn't want me to have the fight. Obviously, I'm a little guy. Decca's big. If he catches me, it's going to hurt. So one of my friends contacted Paul Venus because he knew he's got a bit. He knows Decca and he's a respected guy. And if anyone get the fight stopped, it's probably him. So they contacted Venna and, expressed their concerns. Venna phoned me and tried to get the fight stopped. And I said, I'm still going to go ahead with the fight. So he thought, right, I'll phone Decca. So he phoned Decca and got the fight stopped. Me being me, still messaged Decca and said, look, I still want to fight. So if you're happy to fight, we will fight.
Right.
He was like, yeah. So I phoned Paul and I was like, I've said I still want to fight. So the agreement was we bring one person each. So I brought my mate, Bry. He was going to bring Joey and then his cameraman. The other guy that was there was one of my mates who sorted the place out where we're going to fight. He brought one of his mates. So that's where the confusion of loads of people being there.
Okay.
There was a video put on about one of the guys raised his hand and shouted Venna as if to say, like, check on it. Because so Decca hit me with a punch. And obviously they didn't want the fight to happen anyway. So they were taking close eye on, when I did get a hit.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of like thingy going on there, but one of my mates pulled a good point. So he sent me the time that I got hit and the time that Venna stopped in to check. There was like 10 seconds in between.
Right.
If I was in any danger, of trying to stop the fight, it would have been there and then.
Right.
Nothing was happening, when he stopped in. And what he said when he stopped in, he stepped in and said, do you want to shake hands, lads? That's what he said. So he wasn't like checking me, giving me a breather.
Now, you're saying 9.5, 10 stone. Decca's got, I don't even know how heavy he is, but 17 stone or something. He's got to be
17,
massive.
Potentially 18.
Yeah, he's massive. So he's like double your size. So how strong was he? I mean, from a 9.5 stone lad, how strong was Decca? Because he looks like a mountain of a man.
Yeah, he's huge. He's so strong. I mean, if you watch the video, I noticed the most when I tried to take his back, and I just looked like a little kid on a man. like a child, and I rolled for an armbar, and I just felt like I couldn't get anything. So I thought, right, we'll have to tire him out a little bit more.
Probably be advisable. I mean, that being a good game plan, being so big and hefty, do the whole Frank Bruno, Anthony Joshua situation and get that blood pumping through all their muscles. So, yeah, it's a bit of a different game in the MMA ground style than being that big and lumbersome doesn't always work. Well, probably rarely works, really. So he's talking about a rematch, and I know we spoke about this prior to coming on live, and it's talking about being in a cage. Now, I can understand the mentality of Decca Heggie because you can't move, and I've been there before. Only when I've been sparring in a gym, and I've always been a bit of a puncher, but if you've got someone on the outside and they've got all the space in the world, I'd really struggle. Do you know what I mean? And I did many, many times. Well, obviously, he's thinking if he can back you up against the cage, you can't really move for nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Thing is, though, it works the same for you because you can take him down and then use the cage into your, let's say, strengths as well. So do you feel, he said, I'm going to have 2 months or 3 months worth of groundwork training, some jiu-jitsu training, and then I'm going to go fight you again. And you've done this for 10, 12 years. So do you feel that this is going to be any different in the next fight between you two?
There's not going to be a rematch. Now, he's in my past now because, one, it's a stupid fight anyway, especially like in a ring or a cage. And what does he want a rematch for? But to answer your question, 8 weeks training is not enough. Like, there's so much to learn in jiu-jitsu. You in 8 weeks, you could do a beginner's course and you could learn the very basics. So you'd have an understanding of full mount, guard, side control. Mm-hmm. You maybe learn armbar, triangle, rear naked choke. Very basic stuff. Mm-hmm. You might learn how to shrimp, a couple of sweeps in 8 weeks. But that's all you'll have.
I suppose not really too much different than basically just an office worker fighting in a white collar fight in 8 weeks' time, really. I've seen a poster of you fighting in BKFC, which I'm really interested in because we only just spoke recently with Conor Tierney, who fought over in BKFC. So tell us about that, though. You must be pretty excited, mate.
It's crazy to think, a couple of weeks ago I was fighting a heavyweight in the Hay Bills for 200 quid. And now I'm getting paid thousands, to fight on these shows. And I'm hoping to win, hoping to still grow my social media platforms and earn more money as I go on.
The world of, let's say, unlicensed or underground or street fighting, prize fighting, whatever you want to call it, it's not always the most kosher. It goes with the territory. So I want you to tell me, and I want you to shock me, of maybe a situation that you've been involved in when it comes into these underground fights, because this is a new world for me. Tell me something that maybe you've not really said anything about in the past, that you were in maybe a precarious situation. Tell me about a story we might never heard before.
So King of the Streets in Sweden. Yeah, we got flew out there, we got picked up, instantly cameras in our face. They were making a documentary. So we got picked up in a test there. People had masks on, balaclavas, took us through like these electric gates to a warehouse. You just knew that they were really tough, crazy men. Had like a big riot shield in the warehouse. And, you didn't understand anything. And you were just like, fucking hell, what have I got myself into here?
Sounds like something of Hostel.
Yeah, that's what was going through my head. And I was just thinking, like, what have I got myself into? Yeah, that was like, yeah, it was a crazy experience. But once you got to meet them, they were really nice guys. They really looked after you.
How did you do in the fight there? And what was it about?
It was a street fight in an underground car park against a kickboxer. I think he's like 25-2 kickboxing.
Okay, good kid then.
So like good kickboxing. Took him down, took his back and choked him out in about a minute and a half.
That's pretty badass. I'll give you that, mate. I don't normally do this really, but I'm thinking you need to make a statement towards the likes of Decca Heggie, because you've gone in there off his weight. There's no doubt about it that he's overlooked you, underestimated you. So what's kind of your message to Decca Heggie?
Not a thing good to say about him. Let him get on with what he has to do, what he has to say. If he thinks that's apt and he wants to believe that and make himself feel better, he's the guy that he brought as a fair play man. He's calling him out for drugging him, saying that he was drugged. And like, I'm looking at it now and it's just like, you're desperate. Like, it sounds like he's desperate for an excuse. He got beat off a 9.5 stone man, but right. Do you know what? It was a lose-lose situation for him, wasn't it? If he beat me, people are still going to call him because how light I am. I'm getting calls as well because of these cheating allocations, but I don't mind. It's off people that are irrelevant. The people that matter to me know the truth. So,
okay. Awesome. Well, Robbie, I just want to say, I know you're out in France at the moment, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with us today. Where can we find you on social media?
Instagram, it's Robbie Brown 95.
Thanks for coming on the show, Robbie, mate.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.